Sanity has finally prevailed with the new transfer portal window in college basketball. Hallelujah.
You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, folks, and welcome into the first episode of the Locked On College Basketball Squad Show. We are live right now on the YouTube channels for all of our hosts who have joined us here today. So excited to have a conversation with so many of our favorite hosts here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Again, the #1 sports podcast network, joined by Jackson Holzer of Locked On Syracuse, Isaac Shade of Locked On Tar Heels, Lance Daw of Locked On Kentucky. Matt, I do not know how to pronounce your name. I should have asked you that beforehand. Can you tell me how to say your last name?
Sean Visky.
Sean Vinsky for Locked On UConn, Spencer McLaughlin, Locked On Ducks, Nick Arvin, Locked On Purdue, and Jacob Goins for Locked On Hoosiers. So much fun. I am Andy Patton, host of Locked On Zags and Locked On College Basketball Podcast, along with Isaac Shade. This is going to be so much fun, folks. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The college football playoff is here. We got some representation for that here on the show as well. FanDuel is the best place to get into that action.
Spencer too, right? Go Ducks.
Yes. Go Ducks. Visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every single game day, folks. We are talking about the new transfer portal window for college basketball, shortened again, finally not forcing teams in the NCAA tournament to have to recruit out of the transfer portal while prepping for their upcoming games. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about another fantastic weekend of college basketball action, and we'll talk about the gambling scandal that hit college basketball late last week. So much stuff to get to today.
Cool.
We got a new transfer portal window. For those of you who missed this story, came out, I think on Thursday of last week. Once again, they're shortening the portal window. The first year, for some reason, you were eligible to enter the transfer portal the day after Selection Sunday, forcing all of the teams in the NCAA tournament to have to try to recruit while playing in those games. The window is shortened to 30 days and now is shortened to 15 days. It will not open till after the national championship. So some teams will have some guys probably announcing that they're entering the transfer portal, or at least intending to enter the transfer portal. Some of you guys might have some guys doing that a little bit before the national championship game. That's at least my thought there, but we'll see. Overall, though, so happy that we're finally having a window that doesn't coincide and actually starts the offseason, in the offseason, as opposed to starting it during the actual playoffs. I'm glad to see this change here in college hoops.
Yeah, Andy, can I just point out something that you said earlier that I didn't think was correct? You said you're glad to have some of your favorite hosts at the Locked On Network here. You didn't include Goins in that statement, right?
I'm sorry,
I said some. I kept it vague.
Okay, just making sure.
I can only hang out for just a few minutes. I do have a game tomorrow. I got to go talk about it and have more coverage and things because basketball clearly not happening in Bloomington. So we'll just get on with this conversation if we can.
No. If you want to see a place where basketball isn't happening, go to Eugene. I assure you, it's not happening there.
Look, are you guys allowed to have basketball and football at the same time?
I mean, we are. It's just apparently frowned upon. And I'll let you insert the hangover line there in your head because this is a G-rated show. So, yeah, I am dismayed at what Dana Altman's team has become. Jackson Shelstad might be out for the year. Nate Biddle is out for a month. Let's throw in the towel. We're on to the next. I think we should open the portal now. Forget this after the season nonsense. Open it now.
It's a great segue.
We're going to have a new coach, so I'm with you.
It's a great segue because college football is still opening their transfer portal in the midst of the playoff going on, right? And so if you're Indiana, if you are whoever that other team is playing, shouts to Dono, then all of these teams, including the Ducks, right, have had to deal with the portal while they're still playing. Finally, that's now changing, and that's the biggest thing for me is for all these teams that make it to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, although that was changed last year, and Final Four have had to do double duty, and that's just not fair. Yeah. This is the best way to do it. And honestly, as someone who has to create content around all this, I love that now I will not have to have divided attention between the NCAA tournament and the transfer portal all at the same time. So this is great news.
Yeah, it's going to be very fun to see the numerous tweets from Joe Tipton saying so-and-so player is expected to enter the transfer portal like 3 weeks before the transfer portal window opens. It's not like it's really going to change all that much. It's just at least making the actual paperwork deadline a little bit later. But yeah, still a good thing. And they're also changing the deadline on when coaching changes happen. And I think this is a more significant change in the sense that before, when a coach would get fired or would retire or whatever, would leave the program, the portal window would open right away for 30 days. And now those programs are going to get an opportunity to bring a coach in before said players can enter the transfer portal. So you're not going to have John Calipari showing up and saying, hey, I don't have a team. Like, where did my team go? And so that's going to be probably a good thing. There's going to be a certain amount of time that the program has to hire a coach. I think it's 30 days. If they haven't hired a coach by then they're not going to hold the players hostage. They're going to eventually be able to go. But for programs like, I don't know, the one in Eugene or other programs that might be thinking about making a coaching change, maybe that one up in Syracuse.
Now we've hit on an interesting discussion that piques my interest.
Now there might keep some players around at least until they find a new coach.
Are we sure we want to keep those players?
Well, that's a part of it too.
That's what I would want to know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's good in practicality, but it's just what you said about Joe Tipton and how like you're going to see all these tweets about like so-and-so expects to enter the transfer portal. You're going to see the same when it comes to all these coaching changes as well. It's like, oh, there's a new coach. Well, we know the trend in college basketball. When there's a new coach, the entire roster leaves. So instead of it becoming official that this player's entering the portal, it's going to be, hey, so-and-so on X team is expected to enter the transfer portal, even though they have this new coach, because either he wants to leave or the new coach is telling him to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think too, like you'll see like less of what happened with the Duke Miami situation where Miami hired Jay Lucas before the NCAA tournament. And so Duke lost one of their assistant coaches. A more apt example of this happening would be like the Lane Kiffin situation on the football side of things. But like teams maybe aren't going to feel as much panic about needing to hire a coach right away, which I hope would be a good thing. But yeah, again, it's how much is it actually going to change in practicality? Probably not all that much.
We got a comment here that I want to bring up because I think it's an interesting part of all this. Lance, I really want to get your take on this on behalf of Big Blue Nation. This is from, I think, a Kentucky fan, Peanut Posse, that says, as long as tampering is essentially legal, the portal window means nothing. Lance, your response?
Yeah, he's probably right. I mean, does it really matter at all? It's actually funny. I was going to say a minute ago, Kentucky's first commitment actually came through the portal while they were still in the tournament last season. Cam Williams committed while they were still technically in the dance. So as long as these different universities can kind of go underneath the counter and make deals with some of these kids to whether it be committing to a financial thing, committing to just come play, committing to a staff, committing to a coach that's moving like y'all were talking about earlier. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Well, I will say, and Peanut Butter Posse knows this better than anybody because he's in the chat quite a bit on my show. For Kentucky, I think it does actually matter because our goody two-shoes athletic director and head coach seem to think that it's awful, absolutely horrible if they maybe try and push the boundaries, the limits that have been set by the NCAA, and that the parameters around recruiting portal kids. So they try and make sure that they're doing everything by the book, everything perfectly. So for us, I guess it technically does matter because we're at a disadvantage. But for the other schools that maybe want to go ahead and get a leg up and try and get kids to come before anything officially opens, yeah, I think as long as tampering is still happening, to an extent, yeah, the portal window doesn't necessarily matter. I would also say that the portal window, now that it's kind of been shrunk down to this window, I think it's good. But at the same time, for some of these coaches, and actually Kentucky's women's coach just recently commented on this, like it's going to kind of force the roster creation process or whatever you would call it into this very short window. It's going to kind of really squeeze the offseason down, which I guess for in a sense is a good thing, but also he was complaining about how if you lose in the NCAA tournament, what do you tell your kids for those 3 weeks? Are you still working them out? Are you having conversations about, hey, you're coming back? Are you not? Are you going to go ahead and leave? If so, go ahead and leave. We don't need you here. Like it's going to make things awkward and complicated in a way, but at the same time, I think there are also some benefits to it. But to answer the question again, tampering, as long as it's happening, doesn't necessarily matter.
Speaking of tampering, Nick, do you want to chime in here from Locked On Boilermakers just to make sure you get some words out there on this conversation?
I mean, I definitely, I understand where Lance is coming from. From our perspective, though, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about our coach leaving. Matt Painter, he's been here forever. He's going to continue to stay at this university. And for us this year, our goal is a national championship. So I don't know necessarily if the new rule really applies to us, but we'll have to see about that.
And I'd say up here in Connecticut, same exact thing. I think we've been lucky enough to not have to be dealing with the transfer portal and schools coming in trying to poach players. It's been more who's leaving early for the NBA and what does UConn have to do to backfill with Dan Hurley here. So the last handful of years here at UConn has been different direction than most other schools, I would say.
We're gonna talk about the hackbot chat that just popped up on the comments.
Here's what happened behind the scenes. I'm producing this whole thing, and when I commented,
it was you.
It was me. It was set to all shows.
Isaac's the hacker.
I'm hacking our own show. So now
I'm looking over there, and there's the exact same comment coming from every account that is on this show. I'm going, man, we got hacked in real time.
Yeah.
This new basketball squad show buzzing, man.
I've changed it to where we're now just commenting as Locked On College Basketball. Fear ye not.
Not as much
Oh,
fun.
I should have known that it was shade.
No, you know what? It's because of the point shaving scandal. They got to us.
We've been compromised 10 minutes into our first show.
Some shades. Hang on, we're good. Okay. Safe.
Is that you blocking out the haters about Bill Belichick?
That's right. Who? Never heard of him.
Who?
Patriots just won today. Drake May is the savior, apparently. Let's go.
All right, folks, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about this incredible weekend of college hoops that we just had. We're also going to talk about who is the number one team in the country, who is the team to beat. We kind of know who it is, but maybe who are some of those challengers. A couple of them in the chat here. We're going to get to that here coming up in just a second. But first, folks, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The college football playoff, the championship is here, folks. FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action every game day, because right now the college football playoff, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. And here's what I love about it. You get to use the profit boost on the bets that you already feel good about. Ride with the favorite when you think the team controls the matchup. Take a shot on the underdog if you feel an upset coming, or build a parlay around the players and moments that you think will decide the game. Then you apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. We're also talking college hoops national championship odds. Michigan at the top right now at plus 390. We might talk about that here in a second. Arizona is behind them at plus 550. Purdue and Duke are next at plus 1200. And then we got a trio of teams, Florida, UConn, and the Houston Cougars at plus 1400. FanDuel is the best place to get into all of the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boosts today. All right, folks, want to thank all of you for making the show your first listen or your first watch of the day here on our inaugural live college basketball squad show. We got a ton of stuff to talk about, an incredible weekend of college basketball games. I want to start talking about what we just mentioned there, the odds here for the national championship, because we're down to just 3 undefeated teams in the sport. One of
you don't want to start with Oregon's almost upset of Michigan? Andy, who picks the topics for these shows? They only lost by 10. They were 18.5-point home dogs, according to FanDuel, and only lost by 10.
Michigan beat Gonzaga by 40, so presumably Michigan or Oregon must be, without Biddle and Shellstead, must be 30 points better than Gonzaga, which doesn't really
objectively true. Have you never watched Wei Lin play basketball?
Yeah, we can ignore the fact that Gonzaga beat Oregon on a neutral site, but it must be
yes,
true.
We will.
Transitive property must be true.
We will absolutely ignore that. And the other 9 or 10 losses Oregon has this year, I'm ignoring all of them.
None of that happened. They didn't lose to Rutgers, right? There's no way they lost to Rutgers.
They wouldn't lose to Rutgers.
Leaf, I want to throw it over to you, actually. I want to talk about this Arizona team here because I cannot really believe that they don't have the highest odds to win the national championship. One of 3 undefeated teams in the sport. With respect to the Miami, Ohio Redhawks and with respect to the Cornhuskers of Nebraska, feels like there's only one of these 3 teams that's truly in that national championship contention. Leaf, can you talk to me about what Arizona can do to truly win this national championship, or maybe where there are some areas of concern for Tommy Lloyd's squad?
Well, Arizona's greatest strength, one, is they've built a fantastic resume, and it'll only get stronger in Big 12 play because the top of the Big 12 is the best of any conference. But the real strength that they have is that you can have an All-American in Koa Pete, and he, in my opinion, will be an All-American, score 0 points for a half, and you still score 84 and beat a good UCF team. The game before that, they play ASU, and they have what's considered a subpar game. And Burries, Krivas, and Bradley combined for 20 points when they average together 40, and they still score 89. So they have a strength in numbers, like to copy the Warriors' towels, and they used to wave, and it would drive me crazy as a Jazz fan. And they were just unbelievable 1-8. That's what Arizona has. They may not have the best player in the country, but they probably have 2 All-Americans in Bradley and Pete, and then their 1-8 is better than any team in the country, and their consistency, according to Evan Mia's stats, as well as just like eye test, they very, like, doesn't matter who produces what, but they repeatedly and reproducibly score between 85 and 95 points and hold you to under 70 to at most like 75. And if you do that, you're going to win. And the other thing is they shoot 60% of their shots from 5 feet away from the hoop. And when they miss, they get 41% of their rebounds. So they just, they get a ton of chances. They get more chances than you. They get better chances than you. And it doesn't matter who scores. They're going to score 85 to 90.
Yeah, that's pretty tough to beat. We got a couple teams in here who might be able to contend there with UConn and Purdue. You guys want to chime in? Chime in on where you think your teams might. With apologies to Isaac and Goins and a few others in here. Teams maybe not looking like Natty national championship contenders, but Purdue especially, but the way they've been playing as of late, you guys have looked pretty good. Braden Smith kind of finally reminding people, hey, remember when I was in the conversation for National Player of the Year? I think I want to be back in that conversation, and he's looked like it the last couple of games.
Yeah, one thing I do want to throw out there, because we talk about Michigan, the games that they've played close lately, the scouting in the Big Ten for these conference games has just been off the chain, completely different from non-conference basketball. And Purdue, they've run into that. We kind of thought preseason that this team would be the number 1 offense in all of the nation, and so far it has proved to be the case. Braden Smith, he's hard to beat, just broke the all-time leading assist record he just became, rather, the all-time leading assist record leader in the Big Ten. So that was a huge accomplishment for him. But in terms of the way that this team's been playing lately, after the Iowa State loss, we have bounced back. We've stretched together 7 straight Big Ten wins. But right now, my biggest concern surrounding this team, it's easy to get caught on the seniors. Fletcher Lawyer, Trey Kaufman-Wren, Oscar Clough, who comes over in the portal, and of course, Braden Smith, who is going to be an All-American this year. But the defense has struggled. They have struggled at times this year, giving up 70-plus points to most teams they played in Big Ten play. And then rebounding, which is where I thought Purdue's best area was with TKR and Clough up front. They've struggled there too, and you can give it to the energy that this team has given out. The energy just hasn't been there as of late, but you get out rebounded by USC on Saturday, and it's a physical front court, but not something you want to see. They barely pulled that game out. So I do think that Purdue is eventually going to drop a Big Ten game, and coming up, you got UCLA this week, followed up by Illinois, I think it is, on next Saturday. So there are some tough games coming up for Purdue, but right now that offense is hard to match.
Tough games coming up for Purdue. I'm curious for Matt over at UConn if you're feeling the same. Obviously, more of a challenge than we might have thought with that Georgetown game. Got Ed Cooley feeling really introspective after the game for Georgetown, talking about greater challenges in life than being 1-6 in conference play. Like, yeah, I guess you could be 0-7 in conference play, but it doesn't get a whole lot worse than what they've been doing over there. But obviously, this UConn
is
team
one conference win not what you're supposed to do?
Right.
Oh gosh, no one told us that, Andy. Gosh,
that's on them. That's on them. They should have let you know ahead of time. Matt, obviously, the team has only got 1 loss on the year, and it was to the aforementioned Arizona team back in mid-November. Looking ahead, you got Villanova, Providence, both games at home, road game against the Creighton team that hasn't looked nearly as good as they were expected to look. It's probably not until at St. John's in early February that it's really starting to feel like a challenge. How long do you think this UConn team can keep this winning streak going?
We will see. I mean, they've rattled off 14 straight. You mentioned the lone loss to Arizona at home on campus. It was a 4-point loss to Arizona, and UConn was without
Terrace Reed, yes.
Without Terrace Reed and without Braylon Mullins. So both those guys were out against Arizona, only lost by 4. They got dominated on the boards completely. I think it was a 20-point margin on the glass. And Terrace Reed would be a huge asset to UConn. And I think you see that game potentially go in a different direction, especially on campus at home that night. So that could be another matchup we see late March, early April, as we get into the NCAA tournament. But this UConn team, since New Year's Eve, they have not played to their best. They've had these ebbs and flows, even going back 3-4 years ago, even the 2 championship seasons that they had. They have a dip in the middle of the season, and I think this year it speaks to they've been without some guys in and out of the lineup. Had to play a freshman at center early on in the season. They're finally starting to learn how to I would say, what the rotation should be, what guys fit into what spot throughout a game. But again, they have not had a complete game this season as we've hit 2026. So what I'm looking for, and what I've been saying on my show, has been we need to see a full 40. They can't have dips because, as everybody here knows, as you get into tournament time, you let your foot off the gas. Even teams that aren't up to par, the best team does not always win. The most talented team doesn't always win. It's who can put together a full game. And it's a little concerning, especially a 2-point win at Georgetown, overtime at Providence. So as we move forward here, you need to start seeing, and I think this is something Dan Hurley has talked about too, is foot on the gas. When you're up 18, like you are at Providence, you cannot let them back into the game in an overtime game in front of a hostile crowd. So full game, step on their throats, and that's what Dan Hurley's looking for as we go forward.
I've got a question. Of these one-loss teams, so it's Michigan, Duke, Purdue, Gonzaga, Houston, UConn. What up, St. Louis? What up, George Mason? You're in there too. But of those high major teams, Michigan, Duke, Purdue, Gonzaga, Houston, UConn, who's the most likely of those to win the national championship? Because good grief, right? I know Arizona's still undefeated. I know Nebraska. I know Miami. But throw Arizona in with that group of 6, and I feel like give me that over the field, right?
One thing to throw in there, just to jump in on that, I think the intangibles outside of the on-court talent, I think you got Alex Caravan, who's been there, done that twice, national champion. He can be that leader on the sideline when things get rough. Hey, we've been in this position before. Turn to me as the leader. And then you got Dan Hurley sitting there on the sidelines, multiple national champion as well. So that experience that those guys bring to the table are going to help, especially some of the younger guys that are here as we move forward.
Let me throw something out real quick in terms
of. I think we got to move on. If Nick's trying to type it, I think we got to. I mean,
you don't even have a basketball.
I just wanted to answer Isaac's question so that Isaac feels heard and seen. It's very important to me that Isaac is having a good day at all times. Houston.
He saw the Patriots win. He's having a fine day. He's good.
Look, no, I'm a Falcons fan who is still recovering from 28-3 at the hands of
Why would you do that to yourself?
Don't worry, Stefanski's going to fix it all, brother. You're fine.
Oh, my gosh. No. Anyway, go, Nick.
Okay, so my point is, for Purdue, against Michigan, if they're able to beat out Michigan for the Big Ten and get that number 1 seed in the Midwest, I think that puts them in a really good spot, because what a lot of people aren't talking about is that has them playing through Chicago. If they make it through Chicago, likely making it to Indianapolis and West Lafayette. There's going to be a lot of black and gold in those 2 arenas just because of the location to West Lafayette in Chicago or in Indianapolis. So I think that if Purdue does beat out Michigan for that Big Ten title, the Boilermakers are going to have a really good shot at making it back to that Final Four.
Do you know who I think is the best team in college basketball? It is the Kentucky Wildcats when they're down 15 points. For some reason, when Kentucky has a double-digit deficit, they can turn on the – Lance, what on earth is going on with that team's ability? Was it? I watched LSU just completely stumble all over themselves in the final few minutes of that game. I assume similar things happen with Tennessee, but is Mark Pope just asleep in the first half of the game, or what's going on?
Well, two things real quick. You talk about Blue getting in whenever we travel to road games. Blue got in the live chat. I'll tell you what tonight. Blue is in the live chat for sure. I appreciate everybody tuning in. But yes, they just need a little extra motivation, just a little something to light the fire. I have absolutely no idea right now what to make of this team, especially now that Jalen Lowe, starting point guard, out for the season. Jaden Quain's still out with knee swelling. If I'm his agent, if I'm him, if I'm his family, I'm telling him to sit out the rest of the year. We'll see what happens. But right now they're operating without 2 of their most important pieces, and they've, for 3 straight games, found a way to get down double digits and rally back. Obviously against Mississippi State, a little bit easier against LSU. That's a game that Kentucky probably should not have found a way to win. Against Tennessee, I never wavered in my confidence because I felt that it was a really good matchup for UK. But yeah, I don't know what to make of it. To answer your question, Andy, I don't know what to make of this team without the pieces that should be making it go. In the second half, they're just turning it on, flipping a switch, spacing the ball out, actually knocking down shots from the perimeter. The weirdest thing is that Kentucky, throughout the course of the non-con slate, it felt like, oh, this is the worst three-point shooting team I've seen in a very long time out of UK. They're currently first in the SEC in conference play in three-point percentage. Like they're just spraying from three throughout these first 5 games. So if they continue to hit, this is one of the best teams in the SEC, at least in the second half. If they struggle from deep, I would probably expect them to regress back to the mean, which is just a middling average team that's going to be on the bubble at the end of the year. But they are just tightening up the rotation, asking guys that are not confident in their shot to be confident in their shot, and they're making it happen. And I don't know, he's working miracles. He did it last year against Duke and Gonzaga, and honestly Florida to an extent, and Mark Pope is just finding a way to pull random comeback wins consecutively out of nowhere. It's just shocking to me.
Hey, Goins, are you with me in that being a middling team that's on the bubble come tournament time sounds like a dream come true?
It's a beautiful thing.
Right now, yeah,
that would be like heaven for Syracuse right now.
Oh God,
that'd be like heaven. If you told us like we're gonna watch Selection Sunday and we're gonna be one of the next 4 out.
Oh, the juice! I tell you what,
crazy.
Selling the audience on the NIT.
Let me tell you what.
No, the crown is where it's at.
The tournament right now, but no, we can't do that because we have to lose to Boston College.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, speaking of Blue entering the chat, we need to play a game each time we have a Locked On College Basketball Squad show. Whose individual show is bringing the most viewership? And so I got to shout out Locked On Kentucky right now.
Damn.
It's got the best viewership of all our individual shows, coming in with 49 watching. Big Blue Nation, rise up.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a lot of Big Blue Nation. Yeah, I think that's not surprising.
Hey, before I have to jump out, can I pick your guys' collective brains here for just a moment to give an outside perspective of what's happening for the school
there's not much to pick over here, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Given everything that's happened this year and in the past, just think about everything that you know about Dana Altman and Eugene. I don't think they're going to finish the season over 500. Would you fire him at the end of this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do it of his own volition first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, give him a chance to retire. Like, honestly, give him a chance to retire. He's been he's like,
he deserves that.
He's the best coach in the history of the program.
He's the 5th most wins of all active coaches. I remember talking about this. Like, there's 6 active coaches who have over 700 wins, I think, or whatever it was, 600 wins. And it was 3 Hall of Famers, Rick Barnes, Mark Few, and Dana Altman. And I was like, oh, that's like 5 likely Hall of Famers eventually. I think Barnes will get in. Few will definitely get in. And then
Altman. Let him retire.
Like,
go
stand out a little bit.
Let him retire.
Go get Boeheim retire. They fired him via retirement.
Yeah,
that's what they did. Like, the reporting around it was very, very weird. It was initially reported that he was out as the head coach of Syracuse. And then not long after, it was Jim Boeheim has retired. And then they reworded everything to make it seem like Boeheim kind of left on his own. But in reality, it was more like Syracuse was like, hey, Boeheim, like, it's time. So maybe Oregon can do something like that.
And he will be the next head coach of the University of Oregon.
Brian Dutcher. Go get San Diego State's Brian Dutcher. Or Jared
Kelly.
Oh,
my gosh.
From Mount West, dude.
Lance, that is such a good idea. Oh, why didn't I come up with that? Oh, now I'm disgusted at myself. Why didn't I come up with that?
Pick a guy from the Mount West.
About it. Yeah, people don't want to hear about football right now. I'm sure they want to hear about Brian Dutcher taking over at Oregon.
Oh, God, Lance, that was such a good name. You have no idea how often that name is about to come up on my show when I talk about basketball. Wow, that's good. That's good. Really, really good. I will say the one thing I object to in this conversation, there are some folks, and I've seen a couple in the media space say this. I know Oregon is not the same level of basketball job as they are a football job. But when the idea of moving on from Dana Altman comes up, someone always raises the point. Well, who are you going to hire? Yeah, and it's like it's the dumbest response I've ever seen. I'm like, do you know how many good low and mid-major coaches exist in the world that would love to be the head coach of the University of Oregon? Like, dude, come on. Anyway, okay. Now I'm really glad I asked that question. So I'm gonna peace now. Lance, you're brilliant. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
See you guys.
See you, Spencer. Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to move on. We're going to talk our final topic of the day, the gambling issues that hit college basketball late last week. We're going to talk about what we saw, what it means for the sport going forward, all that coming up here in just a second. But first, folks, today's episode brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season does not have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax's full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person, or you can connect online. They handle everything from your W-2s to your self-employed forms, and work to get you every single deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right there in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling everything for you. And for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. All you have to do is file by February 28th. So take taxes off of your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. All right, folks, let's talk about this gambling issue that hit college basketball last week. Big, huge scandal hit the sport. We heard about like 30 or 40 different names, as many of you probably did. I read through all the names and didn't really recognize any of them. They're all coming from low major schools. And yes, I am including the fact that DePaul was part of this investigation because, well, DePaul hasn't really played like a high major program. Whether they were part of the gambling scandal, when in the years they were, the years they weren't, still wasn't exactly looking good, which is kind of part of the reason that this has been a little bit difficult to track is that most of these players who have been targeted by these scammers have been trying to get players at schools that aren't very good, because when they perform poorly, it doesn't really stand out and you don't really see it happen. I don't know if any of you guys happen to see this video clip. I think it was a Kennesaw State Buffalo game where they had players who were trying to help them get the over for Kennesaw State in the first half. And there was two players in particular. It just, when you know now that they were part of the investigation, it just looks horrendous. Just like one guy committed an offensive foul by basically cocking back and throwing his shoulder right into somebody's face. Like, it was really brutal to watch this happen. Obviously been something we've tracked for a while now, but certainly not a fun thing to have to be dealing with every time you're watching a game and thinking, well, you know, what's going on here? Is there more to this story than just a team not performing well?
Well, my thing was the whole situation when all the numbers came out, right, and all the files, the 75 pages or whatever that they released, and it was like, yeah, they placed a $350,000 bet on the first half spread. They placed a $428,000 bet on Kennesaw State. And it's like, dude, what are we doing? Like, if you're going to do it, I don't condone it. I guess I get why, with gambling being so popular and things nowadays, but it's like, man, let's bet like $5,000 rather than $428,000 on the first half spread of Alabama State. Like, what are we? You're asking to get caught in these situations, and then we already have documentaries and things about guys that have done it in college basketball and they've done it in the NBA. I mean, it's ridiculous to see, and it's kind of baffling to watch, and it's sad for our sport, really. I hate to see it, and let's just be honest. If it's happening at the mid-major level, there's some form of this happening at the P5 level too. We just haven't seen it, and it hasn't been caught yet. That's the issue I have.
I don't know about that, though. I would push back. I don't know.
Go, Jackson.
I would push back that this is happening at the power conference level. I would push back in general, because I just think that some people are really stupid. And they make really, really stupid choices, and they decide to do something like this, which could land them in prison for a very long time. So, like, I mean, it's happened before, and it will unfortunately happen again, because people are just really stupid, and they don't understand that if you're involved with the sport, you can't bet on the sport. It's not that hard to understand. I hope it's not going on. You can't prove it one way or another, but to sit here and be like, well, it's definitely happening. I would push back and say, like, I would hope that there's the players and coaches and managers, they're smart enough to realize how dumb you have to be to actually commit something like this.
But the reason go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
And you're getting money through NIL now at the P5 level, unlike you are.
There you go.
In
that's it for me.
So I think that definitely feeds into the fact that, hey, let's attack the lower level
I know where Lance is about to go with this, though. Go ahead, Lance.
You're telling me that Carolina is not trying to push the over. You're telling me Carolina's players are not betting the over on their last like 4 or 5 games.
Listen, man,
There's no
Nate
way
George might be actually
no
a
way.
part of this too after what happened against Boston College and his 7 turnovers. Okay, it might be possible.
How is it happening at the NBA level with guys like Jonte Porter, Terry Rozier got caught up? If they're making big money, but it's not happening at the Power 4 level. My thing with it is there are 6 states, to my knowledge, that allow player props for college basketball players. And the fact that that's even legal at the college level, it's so much easier to entice. And I'm not saying that this should happen, but it definitely does happen, or at least the attempt is there. It would be so much easier to attempt to entice a college basketball player to sell their player props, so to speak, rather than an NBA player that already did get caught up. So I'm not saying that it is 100% happening, but there is definitely the possibility that there's at least a few guys at the Power 4 level yet to be caught up in it.
My favorite thing in I'm a dork enough that I've gone through it and read the whole indictment that they unsealed last Thursday. My favorite part of the entire thing is they're trying to recruit this dude from DePaul.
Yeah.
And he's like texting the guy and he says, "Oh, he's from DePaul, the worst team in the Big East." So I love that DePaul is just catching strays
Brutal
for no
strays.
reason in the midst of this. Like, it is beautifully hilarious.
The only clips I've seen online of like making fun of kids, like it's like blatantly obvious that they're like selling things, is DePaul clips of them just like throwing free throw rebounds out of bounds and stuff like that, like just standing there letting kids get past them to score. It is the only clips I've seen are from DePaul. So yeah, I feel like the flag.
Even in their most recent, like I think it was their most recent game, or one of their game against Marquette, they were up 11 with like 2 minutes to go, and then Marquette went on a 9-0 run. And Marquette this year is the worst team in the Big East. And I was like, man, DePaul's never going to beat the allegations. Like, you gotta, like, you're not helping yourself when it looks like you're throwing a game down the stretch right after all of this stuff comes out.
If DePaul is ever up by 11 on Marquette, gambling involved or not, you got to hold that lead, man. You got to see that one out. You go bet on another game.
It was mostly because Marquette was terrible. Crapped on themselves.
Going back to
are you happy you're not part of the Big East anymore?
Who?
Jackson.
Oh gosh.
I don't know, man. It happened so long ago. What do you want me to tell you? We stink regardless.
It's still on the top
We
of
could
our
be in
minds.
the Big East and we lose by the UConn by 40. What difference does it make?
Syracuse should be like a top 4 team in the Big East this year.
They probably would.
No, they wouldn't.
They would.
Syracuse is awful. They
Great
just
shape,
lost in college.
Just
College.
look at the Big East. Like St. John's is mediocre. Villanova's solid, and that's it behind UConn.
Dude, Indiana will gladly come to the Big East this year. Are you kidding me? Dude, get us out of the Big Ten, man. We can't handle it.
And this is for Isaac and Andy, but I said this 1,000 times last year. If Indiana wanted to be a 2-sport factory, they should have taken McCollum. McCollum, you got bigger fish to fry. You got Signetti, you got a championship, but McCollum just absolutely torched Indiana.
When Indiana screwed the pooch by not firing Homie and taking Dusty May when they had the chance. We've talked about that, man. That was the biggest miss there.
Yep, let Mike Woodson hang around.
Mike Woodson.
Don't worry, he went to be some like assistant coach for Sacramento or something, like the Kings or something like that. Just ridiculous.
Oh, that was a major. That guy was what Dusty May's doing.
And Dusty May was great, obviously, and then he got extended. He's getting paid and obviously doing his thing. And I think Darren DeVries can be good in Indiana, but God, the players he had to put. There's no returning players from last year. Somebody said it earlier. When there's a coaching change, the whole roster leaves. That's just how it works. And he just happened to find terribly bad defensive players and guys who were the streakiest shooters I think I've ever seen. So we're doing fine. We're doing okay in Bloomington.
Well, that's a good place to end it here on our little Indiana talk. I'm sure we'll have more of that as the season goes on. But folks, this was so much fun. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for hopping on live. Those of you that are here with us right now, we're going to have more of these regularly from now until the end of the season, which is coming up pretty soon. Actually, at this point, we're about 2 months away from Selection Sunday and the start of the NCAA tournament. And then thankfully, it'll be a few weeks after that before the transfer portal finally opens up again. And then we'll get to start talking about that stuff as well. Folks, thanks for joining us again. We'll be doing this here once a week. Thanks to all the hosts who hopped on as well. Really appreciate having you all here. And until next time, from Isaac and myself and everybody else here on the Locked On College Basketball Squad show, peace out.